branched lofting or forked lofting. Let me do a file reset here. Clear this thing out. And the one rule in lofting that you have to obey is each shape has to have the same number of splines. Each shape has to have the same number of splines. So, for example, if I take just a straight line here, and I'll do it in the top viewport, so nice straight line so that I don't get any curvature in there, and I create a rectangle here, and then I create two rectangles up here, convert to editable spline, attach. So, what I've got here now is just a simple rectangle, and before I forget to do it, let me go in here and convert to editable spline on that one. So a simple rectangle, and then two rectangles attached. So there's a shape made of one spline, there's a shape made of two splines. If I loft the rectangle, let me go create, standard primitives, compound objects loft, get shape, okay, no problem there. If I went over and got this one, no problem there. So go back to this one. If I go to 100% of the way along the loft path, or let's say 50% of the way along the loft path, love typing zeros today, say get shape, and I go to this other shape, it doesn't even show up as an available shape. Max is saying, look, that one's got two splines. I can't do this. It's impossible for me to work that way. So, a way that I can kind of trick it. Now, it doesn't always work, but for some purposes, I should have saved the file. I'm not using my computer here, so I didn't. But you know how on the face of the Staples Center, there's that outer white sheath that comes around, and it's got a big square hole in it in one portion, and then it goes up and it narrows down as it comes around the building. Take a look when you get down to the convention center. Well, I lofted that using this method yesterday. What I have to do is make sure that this particular shape has the same number of splines. So here I'm going to go to Modify, I'm going to go to Sub-Object Spline right here, and there's any number of ways that I could do it here. Let me do a clone. No, I'll just shift clone just slightly. So just barely. We're not going to see any difference here. Shift clone, and when I release, it makes that second shape. Now, if I'm at 50% of the way along my path, I'm 99.9% sure it took effect. Now I can come in here 50% of the way along the path, go to Get Shape, and now I can pick on this object. And now it's got a little bit of a twist, and I've got to adjust my first vertices. The only problem is, because I didn't have these in perfect alignment, when I cloned that over, see, there's a little bit of a shift there. I'd have to realign these two things together, the two shapes. Otherwise, I've got this sort of an effect. But in a pinch, you can loft forked objects if you do it carefully and keep the alignment and make sure that each shape has the same number of clones. This area right in here has twice as many faces. Each one of those coincident rectangles has to generate its own faces, so that can give you a problem with materials and things like that later on. But it's possible. Let me field a few questions here if you got some. Yes, sir. Say again now? Yeah, well, yeah, sorry about that. The question was, where'd those Bezier handles go? How come I got crosses on there? And I was going to show you that on the helix because that's a specific object that is built that way. Somebody's idea of a joke, I guess, I don't know. But if I come in here and create my helix, because this confuses the daylight out of people, then I right-click on this object and I go Convert to Editable Spline. If I zoom in quite close and I look at these segments, the segments are linear and the vertices are corners. So there's a facet in my model. Smoothing will take care of it a little bit. But if I want to have more control over the curvature of this and smooth it out a little bit, I right-click on a vertex. I come in here and I change to a Bezier handle. Well, lo and behold, there are those X's again. And if I grab a hold of one of those X's and move it around, nothing happens. I can move that thing till my ears bleed, and nothing happens. Why the hell would I want to do that? What is it? I showed you already. Where's the lacking information here? Yeah, it's in the segment. It's in the segment itself. For some reason, the helix is built with linear segments. So what we have to do to correct this process is select all the segments, right-click on any one, and set those back to curved segments. Then when I zoom back in at vertex level, now I've got my Bezier handles that I can deal with like you would any other Bezier handle. So if you're using a helix, it's a great tool, but if you convert to editable mesh and editable spline, and try to make adjustments at sub-object level, you can't do it. Okay? So curved segments is the issue. Anything else? Yes?
I do architectural visualizations, and I use loss for almost all the walls I do.
Yep.
But I noticed after you move more than one Boolean, say for a window, if you're lofting, you have a wall, you take out a certain area to represent the board through the window, do a Boolean operation down the road after you've already done one, usually leaves out
something that you don't want it to leave out. Yeah. The comment was the gentleman uses lofting on a lot of his walls, but when you've got to put window openings in those walls and you start doing Boolean 3D operations, it doesn't work so well.
It works fine the first time.
First time, yeah.
Is there something I'm doing that
Yep.
I can allow myself to do more Booleans down the road?
Yes, but you can never go back. That's the problem. It's a process. Let me just show you. It works with a box as well. So let me come in here and say File Reset very quickly. And this could be a loft object, but it'll be the same process. So right here, there's a wall. There's my window opening. Let me push that in a little bit. Slide it over a little bit. Do my 3D Boolean operation. It's not called Boolean for no reason, because they're damn scary things. Compound objects. Buy a program called Power Booleans, NPower software. Yeah, foolproof. So there we go. Worked great. What do you mean? Having trouble with that? Nah. Yeah. Let's undo here and let's clone this box right here. Always works great when you do one. However, when you come to two, let me go back here, create, Boolean, pick Boolean, takes that hole out, pick Boolean over here. First one's gone, second one's there. What you have to do with this process, now this is a possibility. If I get completely out of the Boolean operation, then I go back into my Boolean process. Then I know that I have left Boolean and I'm starting from scratch, pick Boolean, and that will usually work. And then you can keep going on and on.
That's not exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh.
Let's say I do an edit mesh right now and then do another box operation, pull out another void, it will leave out the interior segments and make it look like you can go inside.
As if it will leave these sections out right here, for example, right? Yeah. Go build new faces in there. No, I do not know of anything that you can do guaranteed that's going to fix that. That's a process of lousy Booleans in Macs, plain and simple. They just don't work well. Really invest in that Power Booleans. You'll be tickled pink with it, from all I've heard. Okay, so I don't know any way to fix that particular process. Sorry. Why is scaling such an issue in loft modeling and any modeling? Do not scale, period. Do not scale. It's because of the workflow of the modifier stack. What happens is it evaluates the base object, it evaluates the modifiers, it evaluates space warps and world space modifiers, and then it evaluates transforms. And scale is a transform. So, all this other editing has taken place, and if you change the topology, if you add or subtract faces, scaling doesn't know anything about it, and it becomes totally baffled by the process. If you want to scale an object, use a X-form modifier, all the way down here. X-form modifier. Then you scale that object. And it's the same thing as scaling the object itself. It works exactly the same. But the evaluation gets performed at the right point in the history. So it will always work that way. If you forget, or if you import data from CAD, for example, there is also a process here. If I have already scaled something and it's not working, let me pull this off. There's a utility over here called Reset Xform. And what I want to do is reset the selected object. What did that do? It put the Xform modifier on and it set the transform position back to its original. So it's doing exactly what you would do if you added the Xform to begin with. So always add Xform to 2D shapes as well in the loft process. Add the Xform modifier. It gets evaluated at the right point and it will work. Roger, you got some loot?
Yeah, you want to do the thing?
You guys want loot? I don't know what it is. No, they don't want any, Roger.
Okay.
Oh yeah, no, I saw some heads. I'm going to be around all week. I don't know how you'll recognize me if you see me on the floor, but stop me. If you got specific questions, you got your machine with you. My email address is tedb at tbmax, M-A-X. tedb at tbmax.com. Drop me a line. I take a look at your work.
Okay, we got a number of things, including a few